Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack. Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at Notorious KRO. With me, as always, it's Brian Twining, repping the Ross Chastain because the man finally got it done. I almost brought a watermelon up, but that was just, I think, a little bridge too far. So, Brian Twining, we're gonna go over our last week's results, as putrid as they are.
Yeah.
We show up, we take our medicine, we make it work, and we'll go on from there. We'll obviously look at the betting card for this week in Chicago, talk to you kind of about our thoughts in general and kind of how we're approaching this race. Brand new track, obviously blocking off parts of downtown, figuring it all out, going around Grant Park, all that good stuff, and then hopefully have a best bet or two for you and get out of here. So, but before we do all that, Brian, how the hell are you?
From a NASCAR betting perspective, I am definitely crying in my pool of tears after last weekend from Nashville. I mean, when you have a guy as long as Tyler Reddick before practice and qualifying go out there and show the speed of a race-winning car and then have a friggin' tire fall off, like that was just the end of the day. And then Willie B, my other outright, he didn't really show race-winning speed. And of course, we had him, top Chevy, you had him top 5, and lo and behold, that bastard Kyle Larson winds up passing him on the last lap to ruin all of that stuff.
It's so cool when you're have a top 5 ticket and your guy's driving 5th and you're like, his Hendrick teammates behind him, this race is over. Ross is going to run away with it. Yep. And Kyle's like, actually, I'm going to take top 5. So Byron gets 6, then Kyle and Brian can cry. So, we'll go over all the destruction that was our betting cards. But the one thing I will say, Brian, last time we had a card this bad, we had a road course the next week. We had a driver that we both loved north of 20-1. As many know that have been following this show. And those that don't, I will clue you in. Brian and I don't talk about any of our bets.
Nope.
Sometimes we'll mention how, I found this stat, but for the most part, there's almost no conversation prior to recording. We're both on a Toyota. We're both on a guy longer than 20-1. I don't know. I'm just saying the vibes are there. Maybe it's all for nothing. Maybe I'm trying to convince myself that the train wreck that was last week is going to bring us good luck this week. But
let's hope. That's all I could say.
Let's hope. Let me show the carnage that was our betting card. But we will start with our DraftKings plays. It was not good, but it also had some thoughts there that were working for us. I'm so mad about Tyler Reddick.
God, what in the world?
Can't keep his car on the track, spins out, wheel comes off. Absolute disaster.
He's got a brake rotor explode 1 week.
Yeah, now this guy has just had a lot bad luck on all these places. Dinger was fine, top 10. We both were on it at our favorite offshore at plus 325. That was a nice bet. Obviously didn't make the card because of the number. LaJoy was really solid, top 20 performance. McDowell was really underwhelming. Yeah. And then the Hendrick guys, whatever. I also built this on Sunday morning. Went to the Reddick dog, so obviously didn't work. Truex solid. Byron was fine. Dinger was good. McDowell, LaJoy. I think McDowell probably needs to be something else, and obviously 9,100 on a guy that gets me 4 points is not great.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
But the way after stage 1, I was feeling really, really nice. So here is the bloodbath that is our card. Brian and I collectively on the show did not hit a single bet. As I mentioned, this has only happened one other time. The next week we hit Truex on the outright. So we'll see. Logano was underwhelming. And I know we didn't expect him to be like a dominant force in a rocket ship, but we thought he could kind of Joey Logano his way to a convincing finish.
Yeah.
And did not. Byron, as I mentioned, top 5 was a good number at plus 130. Was 5th like 95% of the day. Unfortunately, that does not count. Alex Bowman was kind of Alex Bowman-y. Logano over Chris Bell was dumb. Byron over Truex was. I'm not going to say it was dumb.
I still feel like that was a good play based on the value of it.
Yeah.
Like we got plus money, and then even so, like because I was in Vegas for this race, at one point it had floated out to Byron plus 135, which, I mean, when you look at their finishing positions, it's not like Truex finished second and Byron finished 13th. They were within the top 5 together all day. So, one bad pit stop here or there changes.
I'm also really mad at myself because all week when we talked first thing on Wednesday, when we talked on Saturday, when we talked on Sunday, I was all about the watermelon, man. I just never pulled the trigger, and the number just kept getting worse and kept getting worse and kept getting worse. And I'm like, I can't find value. And then I saw a live line at like plus 850, and I'm like, he's not going to win. Like, this was his first win on a non-super speedway, non-road course. Yep. Which is wild to think about, but it's absolutely true. Also, had been 40 plus races since he'd won again. So obviously, there was my optimism was at all time high. Hopefully, some of you listened to me because I didn't listen to myself. But
yeah, but I mean, I will say, like in your defense, I mean, if you watch Chris Wormey's pre-race poll, even he, who is like probably one of the best NASCAR bettors out there, even he said, you cannot bet Chastain at that number for where he came in at based on his finishing results and his lack of ability to actually finish races. Like, the number was not good to bet him before the race started. Now, maybe that live number of 8.5. Yeah, that was good. And I will say, I mean, this card shows all red, and every single ticket that I had out while I was in Vegas got ripped to shreds. However, at my favorite offshore, I did grab Chastain live. And this was fairly quickly into the first stage, just kind of seeing how fast he was. So, I mean, I did break even for the weekend, thankfully, because I laid a large amount on Chastain, seeing how quick he was.
Yeah. Yep. No, you were smarter than I. But yeah, once that number started really shrinking after, because like even we're like, oh, after practice and qualifying, what's the worst it's going to be? And it got really short. I didn't think it was going to get really short.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Brian also was on Reddick and Byron and Busher and Larson and overall a bloodbath. But since Goodyear, just 6 races, we're still up 7 units each. So it's been a good run. And then obviously on the long term,
yuck,
not phenomenal. But that's the nice thing about betting NASCAR. Hit an outright or two, and all of a sudden you're looking really nice. So,
or just bet more on an outright, like Martin Truex Jr. 33-1, and that thing is completely wiped out.
Or find ways to supplement your outrights.
Yeah.
So let's look at the outright card. Let's see where we can get in, because I think we both have some interesting names, and I think from an overall betting perspective, at this point, at least for me, I'm going to have a hard time betting any of these people at current numbers till we get practice, till we get qualifying. Especially from an outright perspective, what my goal is to find value and potentially go from a Martin Truex 25, 28, 33
exactly
to 8 or 10 to 1. So that's my goal. I have a couple guys in mind that I think can get me there. The Allmendinger opened at 13. He's down to 10. If you can still get double digits on him, I'm fine pulling the trigger there. But outside of that, I'm probably not getting involved. So we have Reddick at 6, 6.5. We have Martin Truex, between 6 and 7. Larson, a little over 7. Obviously, each book's be different. So find your options, figure out what you can get if you want to get to these guys. I think if with these 3 especially, I'm going to be really patient. I know we said this with Chastain, but I feel like it's, even if they dominate in qualifying and look incredibly fast, that number's not going to get dramatically shorter.
even if it does, I'm going to go out on the limb and say here that there's going to be no value in betting the favorite, even if they look like the strongest car after practice and qualifying, because the main difference to me about this particular street course race, when you're trying to compare it to road courses, is the amount of 90-degree turns that we're going to have here. 7 of the, I believe it's like 12 technically designated turns or corners here are 90 degrees coming off of pretty high speed straightaways. So, I mean, you have long braking zones, you have many downshifts going into this. I'm sure people have probably seen iRacing videos of how tight these corners are coming into those high speeds. I'm expecting a lot of contact here, and especially early on, like if we get a restart or anything of that nature, I don't know, even if the best car is able to run away at the first stage, like once they get in traffic, it doesn't matter. Like it's going to be difficult to pass, and they could get bumped by somebody that's a lap down, late in second stage or something. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to even get to somebody who shows the race winning speed in practice and qualifying.
Yeah, because this could be interesting, because I think what we see, at least especially in stage 1, will be very like follow the leader, everyone get in position. But I think as the race goes along, people get more aggressive. They'll push the needle because they'll realize they have to. I did reach out to Parker Kligerman, Bright Races for Xfinity, NBC. He was actually in Chicago looking. If you watch the race, you obviously saw him talking about it just to get a vibe check. And he was saying, yeah, as you mentioned, Brian, lots of 90-degree corners. It's similar to kind of the street part of the Charlotte Roval was his best comp, which is interesting. I was trying to do some data digging to see if we could get like some, times basically in that section.
Yeah.
It's so hard with the actual Roval part.
Yeah.
To figure out, like, is William Byron interesting because he was good at Roval, or is William Byron interesting because he's good at a mile and a half and
exactly
he
he's
was
good
able
at
to
that
make a time in the
portion
Roval.
of the
So,
Roval.
I reached out to iFantasy Race. If you have any information, or if you have like sector times, that would be phenomenal. Please let me know. But yeah, so that is, and we can use some road course history. We can obviously use the Roval. We can try and figure out it's also multiple surfaces. There's not as much elevation change as we see at like Sonoma.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to figure out. Like there's a lot going into this. So picking your spots, I think going light on the tickets in general, and then just finding a couple of lottery tickets, seeing if you can hit a winner, and maybe, there's a few guys from like top 10, top 5 that we'll get to that I think are worthwhile at certain points, but beating the market right now, I think, should be your ultimate goal.
Yeah, and one guy that you skipped over here with this graphic, Chase Elliott, he opening as the race favorite.
Average ass Chase Elliott. I'm gonna stick to that. I don't care.
There is no reason why you should be betting anybody, in my opinion, anybody in this 7 or shorter range.
Especially Chase Elliott.
Until we see how these guys unload, no way is there any value in any of these plays.
Didn't run Coda. He was a top 10 car apparently, but was a mid-pack driver like 95% of the day and was able to pull a top 10 because he stayed out. So if I'm betting anyone, it's Kyle Larson, just because I think he's the best driver of the 4.
I will say, just for personal like love affair with the MJ brand, Tyler Reddick's paint scheme this week could definitely possibly create a small little like wager just based on the paint scheme. Yeah. But outside of that, like there's I cannot see myself getting any action on these guys right now.
What about Dinger at 10-1? Is that a number you're still willing to go to, or would you need longer?
I would probably wait and see, because unless Dinger qualifies on pole, I mean, where's his number going to go?
I think if you can get double digits, you should fire if you like Dinger. I think if you're look like some of our favorite books are posting 8-1, probably waiting to see what he does. I expect him to qualify well. That's kind of his been MO.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know.
But yeah, I think if you're looking at like 8 or 9 to 1, you'll probably be able to give him at 7 or 8, even if he does really well. But I think if you're seeing double digits, you should. He's been really popular. He was posted at 12 or 13, depending on where you look. So
Oh yeah,
obviously
he's
the
taking
books
in a lot of action already.
taking some money, so they're not going to give us a nice number, even if he doesn't qualify that well. But we'll have to see. I do think Ross Chastain is interesting. I know it's wild to say for a guy that hasn't won as much, but like I do think this is a spot where he could go back to back or at least be in the conversation.
I will say again, going back to the amount of downshifting corners here, like multiple downshifts off of high speed straightaways. Chastain is a prime candidate to wreck out of this race. Or to create the wreck that wrecks somebody else out of the race.
The rest of the field to not like him and dive bomb him in the 90-degree corners or get in his way or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Did you see that nonsense he had to deal with? Like, he was in front of Truex and like Almirola and I forget who else. He had to basically split them because they were sitting.
Oh, that was an incredible move. And of course, it happened during a side-by-side, so we didn't get like commentary. So
I know everyone's happy NBC's back, and it was fine coverage, but my God, did they love their commercials. So Chastain 11, Kyle Busch 12, William Byron is this. Some of these numbers seem off. I'm not betting him at 8. I can tell you that. I think he should be double digits and probably between 12 and 15 at the very minimum. So, but he is, he's been fast all year. He's obviously not a road course maven like some of the other guys, but very interesting here. Chris Buescher, your guy. As long as 20 to 1, I guess let's say Buescher for the next group. So, we talked Dinger, we talked Ross. Any interest in Kyle Busch and or William Byron?
First of all, with Kyle Busch, I got to see what type of speed he unloads with, just because, I mean, it kind of took some maneuvering in order for him to get, track position at Sonoma. And then Byron too, like, yeah, he's been good, but I mean, he hasn't really competed for wins or shown like to be a one or second place car at road course type events. I know this is different, but I don't know. I got to see the way he comes off the hauler here for me to get any.
Yeah, and I would say with Kyle Busch, we saw at Sonoma a couple weeks ago, like was fine in qualifying. Obviously, didn't qualify in the top 10, so his number dropped like a rock. And he's another guy that can throw himself in position. And once he got to that second spot right behind Truex, he was one of the fastest cars, and he had a legit chance to win that race. So
no, it's track position. Like we've talked about this since the advent of the next gen car. Like track position is more paramount than ever in the sport. Like when you're running up front and clean air like that, you're just able to run away from everybody.
So let's talk about the longer odds that we think could become shorter odds. So we have Chris Buescher as long as 20. We have Christopher Bell as long as 25.
Who still doesn't have a picture, by the way.
Yeah, it don't. I just Michael McDowell as long as 28 to 1, and we'll cut. I guess so. We have Hamlin at 25 as long as 30, and then Suarez as long as 25. Austin Cindric, I know we'll have to battle over that one because I'm a little more optimistic there.
Hell no.
And then Logano's kind of the last guy, and then you can still get way better. So, Brian, why don't you tell the fine folks out there the guy that we're both really hyped on this week?
Well, I mean, it might be two, but the first guy. Okay, I'm gonna say like this begins the numbers that I'm interested in dabbling with right now to begin the week. Let me just say, Chris Buescher. If you listen to the NASCAR betting preview show, I believe it was Mark who pointed out Buescher has 7 top 10s in the last 8 road courses. So I mean, this guy's clearly really good on road courses. 20 to 1. I think that's a great spot to get in on him. But the first guy, Christopher Bell. Kyle was on him last week a little bit, and then just the past couple of weeks, you've kind of seen him come around, finally find that speed that JGR is bringing to these tracks. And Bell is somebody who's actually qualified pretty good. He's run pretty good at road courses. He's normally inside the top 10. So if you're going to give me 25-1 on a JGR car, when at this point of the week, we're really looking at pre-practice and qualifying value to see what numbers are going to get shorter, I don't think there's any better candidate to begin here than Christopher Bell, with the next guy being actually my favorite value on the board, and that's got to be Denny Hamlin. 30-1, put it on pole in Sonoma. And yes, I know he sucked ass at road courses in terms of finishing positions over the past couple of years, but I'm not really taking much from last year in the next gen car. I'm looking more about what they've done this year. And yes, Coda, they struggled, but Sonoma, practice and qualifying, he was great. Put it on pole. And if that were to happen again, where he looks good in practice and qualifying, this number is cratering probably inside 10-1 or even just at 10-1. And you're getting some amazing value.
Yeah. And I forget who mentioned it on the NASCAR betting preview show, but Tyler Reddick kind of ran his own thing. I believe it was at Coda, and everyone else stunk it up. And then they go to Sonoma and they follow the Tyler Reddick scheme. And all of a sudden, Martin Truex is winning. Denny's on the pole. The Toyotas look a million times better than they had over the past year and a half out on road courses. So I am with you. I think both these guys make sense, but the name that I was referring to was Christopher Bell. I am enamored with Christopher Bell. He is finding tremendous speed, especially of late. And if you go back to his road course history, he was 8th at Coda, obviously 21st at Sonoma. He stunk there, but 11th at Road America, 6th at Indy Road Course, 8th at Watkins Glen, and 6th at the Roval in 22. Not that great again at Coda, but was 6th at Sonoma, looked fast. He's an average speed rank of 10th, which is 1, 2, or of 10, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th best over the last 2 years, basically, of road course running. So he's getting faster. He's got some success at road courses, and his number is just too long. If he qualifies decently, like he's 8th, or the number is going to be in the teens. And if he's anywhere near the front, the number is going to be in the single digits. So I am grabbing 25-1. I like a few names in here. Denny is obviously, if you get 30, that's a screaming value, but fine with 25. We talked ourselves, maybe not us specifically, but as a community, we're very much in on Daniel Suarez, but obviously won at Sonoma, potentially, going back to back when we chatted about that. The number was long. He qualified well. He's a guy that qualifies well at road courses and keeps his name in the conversation. Once again, if you're talking about the speed rankings, 10th at Coda, 22, 1st at Sonoma, 6th at Road America, 7th at Indy, 5th at Watkins Glen. The Roval, this 22 was a mess, but then 4th at Coda, and then 16th at Sonoma. So a guy that is fast, is really strong, and I think makes a lot of sense.
And then before we get off that group, I feel like Michael McDowell is getting a lot of talk this week, and for good reason. I mean, he looked great at Sonoma, and I definitely think he might have had something for Martin Truex Jr. late had they not effed up on the pit stop. I just worry about, because this is not a traditional road course, and there's so many turns here, I sound like a broken record, but the 90-degree turns coming off of those high-speed straightaways really worry me in terms of throwing together a qualifying lap, because one slip-up is going to cost you, multiple tenths here, and that could ruin your qualifying lap, put somebody like McDowell down to, mid-teens or 20th, and then you're probably getting the same number practice and qualifying.
For McDowell, for me, I'm a lot more interested in him as a top 10 guy, head-to-heads, maybe group betting. I don't know that I would be investing in him. I'd much rather go to Bell. I'd much rather go to Hamlin. I'd much rather go to Suarez. And honestly, I know everybody's going to plug their nose. Stinky Cindric is really appealing to me. We were very much in on him for Sonoma. I know he was slow. I know he looked like garbage.
He was hot.
Maybe
Garbage.
number 2 is just a stink fest all year long. But this is a guy that runs really well at road courses. I think he could figure some stuff out, and I think he might have a little more skill set to take advantage of the 90-degree turns and some of the stuff that they got going on this week. So
that is true, but then he is going to be like an AlphaTauri or a Williams car of the past of F1 where, they can all make the turns really nice. Like he can get into the corners, but as soon as they get on those straightaways, man, it's like everybody else is going to have DRS enabled and he's got like the dragster type umbrella hiding behind him, like holding his car back from going.
yeah.
Like there was just no speed at Sonoma for him. I was optimistic about Cindric coming into this year. You know, I thought he was going to take a step up, and I mean, obviously Chase Briscoe too, which both of them suck ass. But like, I don't know. I don't know how you get there with anything under like 50-1 right now.
For road courses, if I can get 25 or 28, I would bite. But
yeah, I don't.
That's me. Beyond there, though, I mean, I've seen some Ty Gibbs buzz, probably a better top 10 bet, better manufacturer bet. You know, I don't know that I'm getting to him in the outright market. And then
I wanted to shout out, like, this is definitely going out on the limb here, but Kevin Harvick, I know he stinks at qualifying on road courses. I mean, he's qualified outside the top 20 in 4 straight, but in terms of technical drivers, just like he's good on the wheel. And because this is a brand new course, I wonder how much of a disadvantage that is for traditional road course ringers versus guys that don't normally perform well on these type of courses. Like, does that actually level out the playing field a little bit? And to me, Kevin Harvick's a guy who, I mean, he probably doesn't give a crap about what's going to happen the rest of the season. I mean, obviously he wants to try to win a championship, but this is his last season. Like, he's going to go balls to the wall here in order to try to win races. And if anybody's going to make like weird calls here or, you know, maybe drive out of their mind, 40-1, 45-1 for a guy who in the past he has shown decent at some road courses. You know, I mean, this is years ago, but I don't know. I feel like we're in for a potential like Harvick surprise, especially he showed a lot of speed at Nashville late.
I think you're trying to tell yourself a story. I love where your head's at. Obviously the Busch Light Peach car looked great last week, but yeah, I mean, if you want to grab a piece of it, grab it at top 5, top 10 head-to-heads, and enjoy the ride. Obviously the lottery ticket, if you can get 45 is fine, but I'd much rather put that money to the guys up in the 20-25-1 range.
I mean, as long as that excludes Austin Cindric.
I'm telling you, let's go to the top 10 market because I think there's value there. So shop around. Let's look at what they have over here because I want to see. Obviously, oh no, nothing there. All right. There's going to be some gross numbers on a lot of these guys to top 10. Some of these guys are a little more compelling, but the range we like, Brian, there's opportunity there. So for example, Michael McDowell, -112. I got it at, I think, +110. So interesting.
Yeah, and he's -110 at FanDuel too.
Cindric plus 100. Bell +110. I think that's a great number. Daniel Suarez +130. Hamlin +135. What's jumping out to you from this range?
It's the two guys you and I both, you know, are semi high on it, especially, you know, the guy that both of us, Christopher Bell +110. I think that's a tremendous number. But for me, the Hamlin +135. Again, talking about pre-practice and qualifying value, this is a top 5, top 7 contender each and every week in the sport, and maybe just overall driver in the sport. And if he shows up with speed like he did at Sonoma, you know, this number is going -180, -190, maybe even 1 to 2 if he's inside the top 2 rows after qualifying.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff I'm looking at. I like the McDowell one, but it's hard to get to anybody at minus money, knowing what potential chaos may ensue.
Yeah, it's a real shame we can't get live betting for like top tens. I mean, I guess
Yes.
that would be a lot of work for the books, and they'd probably get slaughtered, so they're not really looking to do that. But yeah, I think Hamlin makes sense. I think Chris Bell makes a lot of sense. I think Cindric's fine. I'm really,
I'm actually quite disappointed that we don't have a JJ Yaley appearance, considering he's a former F1 champion. According to NASCAR, like he would be on my card this week for a potential top 10 if that was the case.
Oh God, I can't wait to see who your wild card of the week is. It's going to be a glorious one. All right. I am just adding to the card. So I added Cindric at the top 10. I added Hamlin to top 10. I added Bell to top 10. All at plus money. I think it's a really nice opportunity. Ty Gibbs is fine. There's a lot of buzz about him. I don't know. Is there anybody like longer shot that you're willing to even take a shot on?
I mean, originally I had thought about.
I mean, Harvick at plus 160. Like for a guy who's 40 to 1, that doesn't feel very good.
Yeah, I don't think that's long enough because he's going to qualify like shit. Like he always does.
Let's look at top 5. So like Byron plus 225, Chastain. See
like
Cindric at plus 350, Hamlin at plus 350. That's what I'm talking about. Harvick at 5 to 1. That's a lot more palatable.
I would just much rather throw a tenth of a unit on the outright, and then just call it a day. Like that's it. And then if he doesn't qualify well, you're only in. You're only out a tenth of a unit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Suarez at 7 to 1, McDowell 7 to 1, kind of like those. So looking at top 3 odds, plus 650. Let's look at manufacturer. Or is there something you wanted to look at?
I was gonna say we got to hit the matchups, but yeah, let's check out the manufacturers here because.
Okay. So top Toyota, Bell at 5 to 1, Hamlin at 6 to 1. Like I feel like we keep regurgitating the same names, but there is value on those guys this week. Top Ford, McDowell at 5 to 1. Harvick at 7.5. Like that doesn't feel very good compared to what. Would you rather bet him at 7.5 to 1 to be top Ford, or 6 to 1 or 5 to 1 to be top 5?
Probably bet him top Ford, honestly.
Yeah, because I mean, like outside of Buescher, who and McDowell, you're not worried about really anyone else.
Well, I'm personally definitely not worried about Austin Cindric. So.
We gotta find a head-to-head. We haven't done a head-to-head this season, or in a while at least. We need to get on that. Top Chevy, Dinger at plus 550, Byron at 8 to 1, Ross at 7.5 to 1. I feel like Chevy's hard because I feel like if you're gonna be top Chevy, you have to be at least top 3 and potentially win the race.
Yeah. And then at that point, you might as well just bet them on the outright.
That's kind of where my head's going. Yeah. All right, let's go head-to-heads and see what we can find. So Dinger minus 150. That has moved a lot. You might be able to find a better price elsewhere. Chastain versus Cindric. Cindric's tempting, but not my guy Ross. This was not on your bingo card, I know for sure. Tyler Reddick plus 100 versus Chase Elliott.
Yeah, but is his car going to stay in one piece?
You'd like to think so. Bell plus 100 versus Chris Buescher. Welcome to the betting card.
Yeah, that was called out during the NASCAR betting preview show, and I was in the middle of mowing my lawn for all those all those hard workers out there. It's tough.
Well, did
tough
you hear
duty
what
in the
Travis
sun.
Kelce said, Brian? I wasn't sure if I was going to check with you about this one. He said podcasting is the hardest job out there.
Oh, I
So.
did hear
I
that.
mean, we're pretty much heroes at this point. So I mean,
Yep.
I appreciate the love from Travis, but I like Busher, but I think Bell at plus 100 is a nice bet.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning behind that goes to what we have already talked about, in that you're looking for pre-flop value. And I mean, yes, Busher looks great at road courses traditionally, but I mean, JGR versus RFK, I would say that JGR is a step up from them. And if both of them are, say they come out a little bit equal after practice and qualifying, this number probably flips a little bit, and you're probably getting minus 110, minus 120.
Yeah. What about Denny Hamlin? I know it's minus 129.
No.
It's hard to lay. Nope, not going to do it.
I cannot lay that big of a favorite in a matchup right now.
That's probably fair.
Okay. For perspective, on Caesars, Christopher Bell is minus 120 over Chris Busher. That's why
find your value, shop it. And if you're like, I love Chris Busher, he's my guy this week, go over to Caesars, get your value.
Yeah. And I did want to mention over at Caesars, there's one matchup in particular I think is really intriguing if it was decent number, and it's got to be that Truex Jr. Versus Kyle Larson.
You like
if we got that at even, or if that was both 110 versus 110, I feel like you would almost have to lean Truex's way with how he's looked the past couple of weeks.
I don't know. You're going a couple weeks versus a couple of years, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I get where your head's at, especially after Sonoma. But it's hard to fake Kyle Larson.
Even Nashville though, like Truex has been incredible.
Yeah, he's been a rocket ship for sure. So Cindric is a minus 125 favorite against Suarez.
Oh.
Denny's only minus 120 here. Ross versus Dinger. Byron minus 105 versus Kyle Busch. Tyler Reddick plus 120 versus average ass Chase Elliott. I am going to take that.
But again, is this car gonna stay in one piece?
I'm gonna I am going to take my chances at plus 120. Not putting my life savings on it. Just think it's a good bet. Brad K versus Chase Briscoe.
Oh, that's
Chase Briscoe's like a rock. He's like freaking BJ McLeod at this point.
He's getting passed by JJ Yeley, even though Yeley isn't
like a good
racing.
bet. Why am I not making it? I should just unload my 401k, place it on Keselowski, and retire.
I mean, for what it's worth, Briscoe has a better driver rating at road courses over the last couple of years than Keselowski. So
Larson and Chastain to each finish in the top 5. 525.
That's risky, man.
Max Verstappen, and for what it's worth, Verstappen is like minus 400 to win.
Oh, he's gonna win.
And Truex to win 11-1. Don't hate that.
That's actually pretty good. Because what's Truex on the outright market right now?
Let's
see what he is at Caesars.
7 here. It's like 7-1 and minus 400. Feels pretty good. You can get William Byron. Okay, I'm taking this. I know it's probably stupid, and I might regret it, but I bet William Byron basically every week, and they're giving me 17-1 here.
And just
is that the bet? That's a good number, right?
Yeah, I think he's like
12,
13 or 16.
Yeah.
And then just to let everyone know, if you parlay that for Verstappen and Truex Jr., because you can do that on Caesars, it's only plus 967. So getting it at 11-1 is actually really good.
Yeah,
value.
That's an actual boost. Look at the books helping us out. Wow. Remember we talked about not having any exposure and figuring stuff out? Here we are.
No, here you are.
That's also very fair. Yeah, I don't know. I like to throw some stuff around and see what sticks. I
Yeah,
wanted to
I'm
bet
definitely gun shy after last week's over.
so I wanted to bet McDowell. It's a top 10, but I just at minus money at this point. I don't think I can do it. I got some. This is good. This is a good jumping off point. I don't need to beat my brakes in order to get this stuff going. What else do you want to look at? I have Caesars up. I have Barstool up. We can always go to Action Network. Anything jumping out to you, or any other interesting?
Yeah. Honestly, there's not a lot that I'm excited about getting in on right now, just because there is, to me, this is almost as uncertain as a super speedway type race, and even that,
Yeah.
I feel like we have a better handle on at least.
Just because we've seen it, we know who's going to excel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the shit that's going to happen in those races, but like here, we really have zero clue. And I think it's important to note too. It was said during the NASCAR betting preview show that they're expecting rain in Chicago this weekend too. So I mean, what kind of wrench is that going to throw in the race? Like, say we're halfway through
the
stage
same
2.
one that was in the back of Ryan Blaney's car when he pulled out of the pits like a month ago.
Oh man,
Getting that wedge adjustment, baby.
That was probably one of the races I actually had an outright on him. So
probably you bet him. I think every week except for the one that he won. So that makes sense.
Pretty much, yeah.
What do you think? We're both in on Bell. We're both like Denny. Any love for Toyota? Truex is obviously pretty nicely priced, plus 190 for one of those guys to win. Would you need probably better than 2-1 to consider it?
Yeah, just because I don't know. I feel like that market is getting so short now. I mean, just think a couple weeks ago we were getting Toyota plus 300, plus 250.
Yeah. No, I mean we got it 3-1 with Sonoma, right? So that worked out. But we have Reddick, Truex, Gibbs. Gibbs is in front of Bell and Hamlin. That's just dumb.
Okay, so I don't know if the books are, changing their lines based on what we've seen with Ty Gibbs and William Byron supposedly like running hours and hours and hours on the simulator here, just being kind of the younger generation of drivers. And who knows, maybe that is going to play into who actually runs well here, because those old guys like Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., they're probably just like me, and they're like, video games, get the hell out of here. Let me just go drive the streets. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't really take too much from that, and I highly doubt that is anything comparable to what they're actually going to be racing on in real life.
Oh no, it's very similar. The only thing is the track conditions are worse. Like there's a lot of bumpiness and issues with the roads that they're trying to fix right now. But like the sims are so much nicer than the stuff we play when we're running our little NASCAR game or whatever on Xbox. Like they're pretty legit. Like Chris Buescher was doing it. They have to shift and everything.
I mean, I play iRacing, yes, but I mean, there's no way you can get to the level of realism that you actually need. That's
pretty damn close. It's the best thing you could find.
That is true.
It's pretty damn close. It's not obviously exactly the same.
But honestly, I feel like the practice that we're going to get, which is 50-minute practice session, by the way, and I think that's going to be important. Like, you're going to have to pay attention to.
Hopefully as long as we don't get rained out. True.
Could you imagine if they ran this race with zero practice?
Yeah, I may not. I think this might be a week to just not make bets and just sit back, enjoy the shit show, and watch cars spin around as they go around 90-degree turns. Because
And that's why you'll see here in a second why my betting card looks like it does.
All right, let's throw up the betting cards. Let's give the people our favorite bet at this point. Let's get out of here. My betting card's a lot more aggressive. I'm probably gonna hate my life after this, but there's a few guys that are interesting at this point. I have 2 outrights. I have Chris Bell at 25. I have William Byron at 17, thanks to the boost over at Caesars. Bell top 10, Denny top 10, Cindric top 10, all at plus money. Bell over Busher at plus 100. Reddick over average ass Chase Elliott at plus 120. And Christopher Bell as top Toyota at plus 550. All made the card. I'm really invested in Bell, so if he has a struggle bus of a week, might end up hating myself. But I think he wins, and Brian thinks he wins. And if it's based on Truex week, we're going to ride that lightning. Brian has 3 bets because he's a real wild card. Hamlin at 35, thanks to FanDuel. Wow, that's a number.
Thanks a lot, FanDuel.
Chris Bell at 25. And then Hamlin Hamlin's a top 10. What was the week that we hit an outright and you put like a little bit on it, like a quarter of a unit, and I put a full unit on there?
Wasn't it the Truex?
That might have been. I'm trying to remember. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, it was Truex.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You put a half a unit and I only put a quarter.
It's all lining up. It's all gonna. Oh, it's the same color too. Oh my god. No, a different color. But anyways, I gotta fix that color. But
yeah.
Anyways, Brian, you have 3 bets on the card. What is your favorite bet as we sit here? Is it the Hamlin top 10?
So going away from like a best bet type of thing, which would be the Hamlin top 10. My favorite bet of the week right now, sitting here on Wednesday, has got to be the Hamlin outright at 35-1. So I'm going to go half a unit. I mean,
Let's go.
Like, the potential of somebody like him who, to me, the closest thing we get to this Chicago street race here has got to be something that's happened this year. Because, I mean, the cars have changed dramatically from the first year of the next gen to this season. So I think a lot of that stuff we've seen in the past is much different. And like Kyle, referred to, like the Toyota guys were running Tyler Reddick setups from road courses, and you saw how much faster they unloaded. And if this continues, he's probably going to shrink. This number is going to, get cut in half by the time we're going green on Sunday. So this is my favorite bet, not my best bet, my favorite bet before the race starts.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm going to ride the lightning with you. My favorite bet as we sit here right now, Christopher Bell is my favorite bet. I'm going to go Christopher Bell, top Toyota at plus 550. If the bow ties come out and are just awesome, and Christopher Bell has like a 3rd place day, I'll take the 5-1, 5.5-1. What's his number to top 3? Just want to make sure. Bell. Yeah. Oh, I can get. Okay, Brian. Top 3, 7-1, or do I give myself that wiggle room? What's his top 5 number?
I think it was like 325.
Yeah. So he could get 4th and be could he get 4th and be the first Toyota?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility, because say Chris Buescher or Michael McDowell puts it inside the top 3 and you have Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain or Dinger.
I'm going to go Christopher Bell, top Toyota, plus 550. That is my favorite bet as we sit here with a lot to be excited about. So if you want to ride some lottery tickets, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin both provide a ton of value. Brian and I are going to hopefully get qualifying and practice in, get some ideas of who's actually good and what we like. We'll probably even watch a little bit of the Xfinity race just to see.
definitely watching that.
Yeah, get some vibes and see how that goes, because I think that could be telling as well. We will be back on Sunday morning in your feed to get you set for the race. In the comments, please let us know what your game plan is for this week. Are you going to sit it out entirely? Are you going to throw a couple lottery tickets and see what you can get? Are you going to go heavy in the top 10, top 5, top Chevy market? Let us know what your thoughts are. And if you have somebody you're really excited about, please let us know. Brian and I are always looking for opportunities. And if you think you might have found one, please let us know. That is Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time.